darkness wrapped around me like a thick, suffocating blanket as I drove down that desolate stretch of road. The only source of light was my car's dim headlights, struggling to pierce the pitch-black night. It was the kind of darkness that makes your imagination play tricks on you. But what happened next was no trick. It was a bone-chilling reality. The road seemed to stretch endlessly ahead, surrounded by an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustling of unseen creatures in the shadows. I was alone, or so I thought, until a flicker of movement caught my eye in the rearview mirror. Glancing back, I saw a figure standing on the side of the road, bathed in the pale glow of my taillights. Curiosity and a strange sense of foreboding compelled me to stop. As I rolled down window, the figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a disheveled person with hollow eyes that seemed to hold a darkness of their own. Without a word, they climbed into the back seat, their presence sending a shiver down my spine. I hesitated, unsure of what to do next. Before I could gather the courage to speak, the stranger whispered, "Keep driving." The urgency in their voice spurred me to hit the gas, propelling us deeper into the heart of the night. The silence inside the car was heavy, broken only by the distant hum of the engine and the mysterious breathing of the enigmatic passenger. As we continued down the desolate road, the stranger began recounting a tale that sent chills down my spine. They spoke of a town forgotten by time, hidden in the folds of the darkness we now traversed. The townsfolk, it seemed, were haunted by a malevolent force that emerged only when the sun dipped below the horizon. Their story unfolded like a nightmare, describing shadowy figures that lurked in the corners of every street, whispering dreadful secrets to those unfortunate enough to hear. The townspeople, driven to madness by the relentless torment, would vanish without a trace, leaving behind an unsettling silence. The stranger's words painted vivid images of spectral figures dancing in the moonlight, their haunting laughter echoing through the empty streets. They spoke of faces appearing in windows, staring with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through the very soul. It was a tale that felt too real, as if the darkness outside the car concealed a world where nightmares bled into reality. Suddenly the stranger fell silent, their gaze fixed on something beyond my headlights. I followed their line of sight and saw a dilapidated sign, barely visible in the darkness. The words "Welcome to Raven Shadow" sent a shiver down my spine. Raven Shadow, the town from the stranger's story, or so it seemed. As I approached the town's ominous entrance, the air grew thicker with an otherworldly energy. The stranger's grip on the back seat tightened, and a sense of impending doom filled the car. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us, something that had no intention of being forgotten. The road through Raven Shadow twisted and turned like the convoluted alleys of a nightmare. The stranger guided me, their voice trembling with fear and urgency. They spoke of a place where the boundary between the living and the dead blurred, where the shadows whispered secrets that could drive a person to the brink of insanity. We reached the heart of Raven Shadow, a desolate square surrounded by decrepit buildings. The stranger pointed towards an ancient mansion, its silhouette barely visible against the oppressive darkness. "Stop here," they whispered, their voice barely audible. Reluctantly, I parked the car, the engine's hum now the only sound in the ghostly silence. The stranger opened the door and stepped out, their figure swallowed by the shadows. As they disappeared into the night, a cold wind whispered through the air, carrying with it the haunting echoes of Raven Shadow's tormented past. Alone once more, I sat in the silence, paralyzed by the weight of the unknown. The darkness outside the car seemed to press against the windows, the air heavy with the secrets of Raven Shadow. Every creak, every rustle felt like a spectral presence lingering in the corners of my perception. I couldn't shake the feeling that the stranger's story was more than just a tale. Raven Shadow, with its forgotten history and malevolent shadows, felt like a place suspended between the realms of reality and nightmare. As I drove away, leaving the haunting town behind, the memories of that night clung to me like a lingering shadow, a chilling reminder that some horrors are born not from fiction but from the depths of the true night. It was just another night, cruising down the empty road with nothing but the hum of the engine and the darkness outside. Nothing seemed off at first, just the usual stuff. But then, out of nowhere, I saw this hitchhiker on the side of the road. Looked like a regular person, maybe in their 30s, wearing tattered clothes. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I slowed down, figuring maybe they needed a lift. The guy hops in, mumbles a quick thanks, and we keep driving. Now this is where things start to get weird. He's sitting in the back seat, and I notice he's not saying a word. No small talk, no asking where I'm headed. Just dead silent. As we roll along, I start to feel this chill creeping up my spine. I glance in the rearview mirror, and the guy's staring at me with these eyes. Man, those eyes were something else. Pitch black, like staring into an endless void. I tried to shake it off, thinking maybe I'm just tired or something. But that feeling, that weird vibe, it lingered. I decide to strike up a conversation, to break the silence. Ask the guy where he's headed. What's his story? He looks at me, and his voice, it's like gravel scraping against metal. He says, keep driving and don't ask questions you ain't ready to hear the answers to. So now that's when I felt a shiver down my spine. Something about the way he said it, like he knew something. We're in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by trees and darkness. The road's getting narrower, and there are no signs of civilization. It hits me. I don't even know where the hell I'm going. I try to ask the guy again, like, where are we headed? But he just points straight ahead and says, you'll know when we get there. Now I'm getting uneasy. I want to pull over, kick this guy out, but this feeling inside me says don't. So I keep driving, and the silence settles back in. The only sound is the tires on the road and the guy's weird breathing in the back. I glance in the mirror again, and those eyes, man, they're still locked onto me. Suddenly, he tells me to turn off the headlights. Yeah, you heard it right, to turn off the damn lights in the middle of nowhere. I'm thinking, this guy's out of his mind, but there's something in his eyes. Something commanding. So, against my better judgment, I kill the headlights. Now it's just the moon casting this eerie glow on the road. The darkness outside is thick, like you can touch it. The guy tells me to slow down, and I see this faint light in the distance like a flickering lantern. As we get closer, I see it, an old abandoned mansion. The windows are shattered, and the whole place looks like it's been forgotten by time. He tells me to stop, and I'm thinking, what the hell did I get myself into? The guy gets out, still not saying a word. I'm left there, alone in the car, surrounded by darkness and this creepy mansion. To debate whether to just speed off, leave this nightmare behind, but something holds me back. Then, I see figures, shadowy, twisted shapes moving in the darkness around the mansion. I can't make out what they are, but they're there, lurking. The guy reappears at the car window and says, you delivered me here, and now you know. Remember, and with that, he disappears into the darkness. I hit the gas, leaving that forsaken mansion behind. The road ahead is a blur, and all I can think about is those shadowy figures and those pitch-black eyes. It felt like I'd stepped into a horror movie, and now I was the one who knew the secret. See, I kept driving, not daring to look back, just trying to put as much distance between me and that creepy mansion as possible. The night air was heavy with the weight of what I'd witnessed. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I'd crossed paths with something beyond my understanding. Something that belonged in the darkest corners of nightmares. And listen, there it is, the night drive that changed everything. No monsters or gory details. Just the unnerving encounter with a stranger and a creepy mansion in the middle of nowhere. It may sound crazy, but when you're out there alone in the dark, sometimes reality is stranger and scarier than fiction. So there I was, driving down this dark, lonesome road in the dead of night, no cars in sight, just me and my headlights cutting through the black. Everything seemed normal until I noticed this figure on the side of the road, standing in the shadows like a ghost. I slow down, thinking maybe they needed help or something. I roll down the window and the air gets icy. The person looks at me, and their eyes, man, those eyes were like pits of darkness. I couldn't look away, like they were sucking me in. Without saying a word, the person climbs into the back seat. I should have driven off right then, but something in those eyes, something off, made me freeze. We start moving again, and it's dead silent in the car. I'm trying to shake off the weird vibes, but it's like the darkness outside crept in with this person. After a while, they finally start talking. Not about the weather or some random stuff. No, they start spinning this tale. A tale that chills me to the bone. They talk about this town, forgotten by time, where the night hides secrets that can drive a person mad. The road takes a strange turn, and suddenly we're not on the map anymore. The person in the back keeps talking, their voice low and haunting. They tell me about shadows that move on their own, whispers that crawl under your skin. It's like some horror movie stuff, but I'm living it. They point to this old rundown mansion on the side of the road. Stop here, they say, and I'm thinking, what the hell did I get myself into? But I stop, and they get out, disappearing into the darkness without a word. I'm left there, alone with this ominous mansion staring back at me. The air outside is heavy, and the night is so still it's like the world is holding its breath. I can't shake off the feeling that I stumbled into something way beyond my pay grade. But curiosity, or maybe fear, gets the better of me, and I step out too, leaving the car running. The mansion is something out of nightmares. Creaky doors, shattered windows, and the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. I take a few hesitant steps, and that's when I hear it. Whispers. Not in the wind or in my head, but actual whispers, like the walls had secrets to spill. I'm frozen in place when shadows start moving in the corners of my vision. Figures, dark and distorted, slink around the mansion. My heart's pounding, and I can't shake off the feeling that I'm not alone. The whispers get louder. Words I can't understand, but that make my skin crawl. I bolt back to the car, slam the door shut, and peel out of there like the devil himself is on my tail. The road straightens out, and the whispers fade into the distance. The person is nowhere to be seen, and I'm left wondering if it was all some messed up dream. But then I notice something. The air inside the car is different. It's heavy, like the whispers followed me. I'm driving through the night, but it's not the same anymore. Every shadow, every sound feels like it's watching me. I don't know what that person was, or what kind of messed up place I stumbled upon, but I can't shake off the feeling that whatever I picked up on that dark road is still with me. The night's not just dark anymore. It's got a weight to it, a darkness that seeped into my bones. So here I am driving through the night, haunted by shadows and whispers that never seem to fade. I can't explain it, but I know one thing for sure. That night drive changed something in me. The road ahead is endless, and the darkness, it's not just outside. It's in me, in the echoes of that night, in the whispers that won't let go. So there I am, driving down this pitch-black road, right? It's the middle of the night, and I'm the only sucker on this desolate stretch. No other cars, just me and my headlights cutting through the dark like a shaky knife. Now I ain't expecting much. Maybe a boring drive, some tunes on the radio, but then out of nowhere this guy appears on the side of the road. And let me tell you, he looked like he stepped straight out of a horror flick. Tattered clothes, wild hair, the whole deal. I'm thinking maybe he needs a hand, you know. So against my better judgment, I pull over. The guy hops in, doesn't say a word. I'm trying to be friendly, ask him where he's headed, but he's giving me this stone-cold silence. It's weird, man. Real weird. As we keep going, the atmosphere in the car gets heavy. Like I can feel it in the air. Something ain't right. The guy in the back, he starts mumbling something under his breath. Can't catch the words, but it's like he's whispering to the shadows. I'm glancing in the rearview mirror, and his eyes, they're like two black holes staring back at me. No whites, just darkness. I try to shake it off, blame it on the low-light situation, but deep down, I know something's off. Then, out of the blue, he tells me to turn off the headlights. Now I ain't the brightest bulb, but turning off my only source of light in the dead of night, that's asking for trouble. But he's insisting, almost like he's got some hold on me. So I kill the lights, and suddenly it's pure darkness outside. The road ahead is invisible, and the only thing I can see is the dim glow of the dashboard. The guy in the back starts guiding me with this creepy monotone voice telling me where to go. We end up in front of this old, rundown mansion. It's the kind you'd see in those haunted house movies. Windows boarded up, paint peeling off, the whole haunted package. I'm thinking, what's the deal with this place? He tells me to stop, gets out, and disappears into the dark without a thank you or a backward glance. Now I'm sitting there, alone, in front of this haunted mansion, wondering how the heck I got into this mess. But it gets worse. As I'm about to leave, I hear this noise, like whispers, soft, eerie voices coming from the mansion. I'm alone, or at least I think I am, but those whispers, man, they're messing with my head. Then the shadows start moving. I swear it's like they got a life of their own, creeping around the mansion, dancing in the darkness. I'm not one to believe in ghosts and all that nonsense, but at that moment, I'm questioning everything. I slam my foot on the gas, get out of there as fast as my beat-up car can manage. The roads blur, and I'm praying I leave whatever haunted that mansion behind. But here's the kicker. The whispers, they don't stop. I can still hear them, faint but persistent, like they hitched a ride with me. The air inside the car feels heavy, and every shadow on the road seems like it's watching, whispering. I'm trying to convince myself it's just my imagination, but deep down, I know something changed that night. I keep driving the road, stretching on endlessly. The whispers, the shadows, they're with me, and there's no escaping it. It's like that creepy guy left a piece of the darkness in my car, in my mind. Now, every night drive feels different. The road isn't just a road. It's a journey through shadows and whispers that won't let go. I can't explain it, but I know it's real, and when the night falls and I'm alone on the road, I can still feel that haunted presence, like a passenger that never left. Late at night, I'm cruising down this empty road, Windows down, radio playing low, just me and the road. Everything seems normal, just the hum of the engine in the darkness outside. But then, out of nowhere, my headlights catch something on the side. I hit the brakes, thinking it's an animal or something. But as I get closer, I realize it's not a deer or a stray dog. It's a person, standing there in the shadows. Now that's weird, right? I mean, who the heck is out in the middle of nowhere at this hour? Decide to be the good Samaritan. Pull over, see if they need help. The person, they look normal at first. Regular clothes. Not some horror movie getup. I ask if everything's okay, and they nod, like they're grateful for the ride. They get in the back seat and we start rolling again. But here's where it gets weird. The person doesn't say a word. Not a hello or a thanks. Just silence. And it's making the air in the car thick with something I can't put my finger on. Let's try to shake it off, Turn up the radio, make some small talk. But this person, they're just staring out the window, not reacting to anything. The road's deserted and the only sound is the tires on the asphalt. As we drive, I start feeling this chill. Like there's something off about this whole situation. I glance in the rearview mirror and the person's face. It's blank, expressionless. It's like they're not there, like there's some ghost hitching a ride. Suddenly they speak. But it's not a normal conversation. They start telling me stuff, weird stuff that makes my skin crawl. About this town we're heading towards, a town with a dark secret. The way they talk about it, it's like they've seen something they can't forget. I'm trying not to let it get to me. Just a weirdo in the backseat spinning some creepy tale. But the more they talk, the more I start feeling this unease. Like maybe there's something to their story. We hit this stretch of road, and the person points out the window. Turn here, they say, and I see it. It's the road leading to an old, abandoned mansion. It's the kind of place you'd see in a haunted house movie. Creaky doors, broken windows, and an overall vibe that screams trouble. The person tells me to stop, and I'm thinking, what the heck? But there's something in their eyes, something that makes me do it. They get out, disappear into the darkness without a backward glance. I'm left there, staring at the mansion, wondering if I just stepped into a real-life horror flick. The air outside feels heavy, like there's a storm brewing. I decide to get the heck out of there, but as I drive away, things take a turn for the worse. I start hearing voices. Whispers, faint at first, but getting louder. It's like the air itself is talking, and I can't make out the words. The road seems never-ending, and the whispers, they're messing with my head. I try turning up the music, but it's like the voices are in my ears. I feel this pressure, this weight on my chest, like something sitting next to me in the car. I'm on the verge of losing it when I notice shadows on the side of the road. Dark figures moving in the periphery of my vision. I blink and they're gone. But the whispers, they're still there, now echoing in my head. I reach home, but the eeriness doesn't stop. Every night when I hit the road, it's the same. Whispers, shadows, and that heavy feeling in the air. I can't escape it. It's like whatever that person brought with them latched onto me. I've tried ignoring it, telling myself it's all in my head. But deep down, I know it's real. The road's not just a road anymore. It's a journey through darkness and whispers. And every time I drive into the night, I'm reminded that some encounters change you, leave a mark that time can't erase. Picture this, and it's a pitch black night, and I'm driving down this long stretch of road. No other cars in sight, just me and the quiet hum of my engine. Everything seems normal until I see this figure on the side of the road. Now, I ain't one to pick up hitchhikers, but this person, they look stranded, desperate even. I decide to pull over, thinking maybe they need help. The minute they hop into the backseat, though, something feels off. It's like a switch flipped and the air inside my car gets heavy. They don't say a word, just stare straight ahead. So I figure they're shy or something, so I try to make small talk. No response. I glance in the rearview mirror and those eyes are staring right into my soul. They're empty, void of any emotion. It's like looking at a mannequin. Except this one's breathing. As we cruise down the road, I start feeling this sense of dread. It's like I've let something into my car. Something that doesn't belong. I turn up the radio trying to drown out the silence, but it's not working. The atmosphere is thick, suffocating. Out of nowhere, the person in the back speaks, but it's not a normal conversation. They start talking about things they shouldn't know. The details about my life, my fears, stuff no stranger should be aware of. I'm freaking out, thinking this is some kind of sick joke. They tell me to take a turn, leading us to this deserted area. I should have slammed on the brakes and kicked them out, but fear had a grip on me. We end up in front of this abandoned house. Windows shattered, doors hanging off the hinges. It's the kind of place you'd see in a horror movie. They tell me to stop, and I'm sitting there, heart pounding. They get out without a word, disappearing into the darkness. Now, I'm alone in front of this creepy house, wondering what the heck just happened. It's the moment they step out. The air inside my car changes. It's colder, and I swear I hear whispers. Like faint voices in the wind, but they're not saying anything coherent. It's just this eerie murmur that sends shivers down my spine. Decide to get out of there, step on the gas, and speed away. But as I drive, those whispers, they're getting louder. It's like they're surrounding me, closing in. I can't escape them, and the darkness outside feels alive. Keep glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that person back there, but it's just the empty backseat. Still, the whispers persist, growing more intense with every mile. It's like they're trying to tell me something, but I can't make out the words. I reach my destination, pull into my driveway, and turn off the engine. But the whispers, they're still there, echoing in my ears. I get out, but the air outside feels different. It's charged, like there's electricity in the atmosphere. From that night on, things change. Every time I get behind the wheel at night, those whispers start up. It's like they've become a part of the darkness. A haunting soundtrack to my drives. I can't escape them, no matter how fast I go or how loud I play my music. Sometimes, when I'm alone in my car, I feel a presence in the backseat. I don't see anyone, but it's like someone's watching, lurking in the shadows. And those whispers, they're not just outside. They're in my head, murmuring secrets I don't want to know. I've tried everything, getting my car checked, seeing a therapist, even avoiding night drives altogether. But those whispers, that unsettling feeling, they won't let go. It's like I've crossed paths with something beyond my understanding, something that's marked me for life. So here I am sharing this tale, hoping someone out there gets it. Night drives, they used to be a peaceful escape for me. Now they're a journey into the unknown, a reminder that sometimes the scariest things find you when you least expect it, on a quiet road in the dead of night. So I'm driving down this dark road, right? Just me, the hum of the engine, and the night stretching out like a never-ending abyss. It's the kind of quiet that messes with your head, where every creak and rustle feels louder than it should. Do you know where my headlights catch something? Not an animal or a lost soul, but a figure standing on the roadside. Now, I ain't the type to pick up strangers, especially not in the dead of night. But this person, they got this desperate look, like they've been left behind by the world. Against my better judgment, I pull over and they hop in. No words, no thanks, just this unsettling silence. The air in the car changes, gets heavy. I try to shake it off, but something's off kilter and it's sending shivers down my spine. Besides, I'm expecting them to tell me where to go, but they're just staring out the window. The road's deserted, the kind of quiet that messes with your head. I'm about to ask them something, break the eerie silence when they start talking. But it ain't no regular conversation. They're telling me things they shouldn't know. About me, about my life, about stuff no stranger should have a clue about. I'm gripping the wheel, my heart doing this weird dance between fear and confusion. They guide me to this deserted stretch of road, and my instincts are screaming at me to bail. But I can't. It's like they've got control, like the steering wheel's moving on its own. We end up in front of this dilapidated house, windows shattered, doors hanging off their hinges. So they tell me to stop. Get out without a single word of explanation. As soon as they're gone, the air inside the car feels different. It's colder, and there's this weird silence, like the world's holding its breath. Feet away, but the unease doesn't leave. It's in the air, clinging to my skin like a bad omen. And then I start hearing it. Whispers. Soft at first, like the wind playing tricks on me. But they get louder, like voices talking in hushed tones. Here, the roads never felt so long. The darkness so suffocating. I'm glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that person in the back seat again. But it's empty. The whispers, though, they're not going anywhere. I pull into my driveway, and for a moment, I think I'm safe. But the whispers, they follow me inside. The air in my house feels heavy, and every creak in the floor sounds like a distant echo. Days go by, and whispers don't stop. They're there when I'm trying to sleep, when I'm alone in the quiet. It's like they're a part of me now, and no matter where I go, they're there, murmuring secrets I don't want to hear. I've tried telling myself it's all in my head, that I picked up some weirdo on the road, and now my mind's playing tricks. But it's real. The whispers, the silence, the feeling of being watched. I can't shake it off. Every night drive is a journey into this eerie unknown. The road feels like it's leading somewhere I don't want to go. And the whispers, they're my constant companions, like a ghostly presence haunting every mile. I've shared this tale not as a warning, but as a testament to the fact that sometimes the darkness on the road isn't just outside. It seeps into your car, your home, your mind, and no matter how fast you drive, you can't outrun the things you can't see. The whispers in the night that become a part of your story, whether you ask for it or not.